All right, stand by. 10 seconds.
Ready, camera,
Count.
Ready, camera.
3, 2,
1.
Roll for record.
The Democrats debate. I'm John Phillips, and this is The Rundown. Yes, the Democrats finally actually held a debate, and most of the headlines seemed to indicate that Hillary Clinton was the big winner. Bernie Sanders fans were all over social media saying, no, he won the debate, but his biggest moment of the night was actually when he defended Hillary, saying the American people were sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails. She laughed, grinned, I guess I should say cackled, went over to shake his hand. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Let me say something that may not be great politics, but I think the Secretary is right. And that is that the American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank you. Me too. Me too.
You know? The middle class, Anderson, and let me say something about the media as well. I go around the country, talk to a whole lot of people. Middle class of this country is collapsing. We have 27 million people living in poverty. We have massive wealth and income inequality. Our trade policies have cost us millions of decent jobs. The American people want to know whether we're going to have a democracy or an oligarchy as a result of Citizens United. Enough of the emails. Let's talk about the real issues facing America.
Thank you, Bernie. Thank you.
And he's probably right that most committed Democrats are sick of hearing about Hillary's damn email scandal, although being sick of a candidate's scandal doesn't equal enthusiastic support. Whether or not he's right, he diffused Hillary's biggest debate vulnerability, that she can't be trusted, doesn't tell the truth, and is a damaged candidate, which meant the debate was hers to lose, and she didn't. This may make Joe Biden much less likely to jump in. CNN made sure to have a podium ready just in case he happened to show up, but Hillary's strong performance may mean his campaign fizzles out before it even begins. A strong Hillary showing may also be a good thing for Republicans. The latest presidential polling by Fox News shows Hillary losing to every major GOP candidate, while Joe Biden wins against them all. So will Democrats fall for Hillary? Is that good news for the GOP? Will Bernie get his groove back? And is it really curtains for Joe Biden? To explore all of this and much, much more, we're joined by PJTV contributor and author Scott Ott from his home studio in Dallas, Texas, and here in sunny Southern California, stand-up comic and PJTV contributor Stephen Cruiser. So was Hillary the tallest building in Omaha last night, Cruiser?
She was the tallest person in Munchkinland. Yeah, I mean, that was just, yeah, you're right. It was like, you know, given the competition, it was absolutely not that difficult to rise above, but the one person who threatens her just gave it to her. I mean, there was a lot of rumor in the beginning of all of this that Bernie Sanders merely wanted to push the conversation leftward. He really didn't want to be president all that badly. Then he starts picking up all the momentum. He's getting all the donations and then feel the burn and everything. You start to think, oh, maybe this guy actually wants to win it. Right there, that shot we showed, he gave it away. He's just like his one thing that he could have been relentless about on her. So now I'm thinking, yeah, maybe he doesn't really want it that badly. He just wanted to push the conversation, which he certainly has, because they were all running to be the next Fidel Castro last night. And I can only imagine they're going further leftward as this goes on. So I say, yeah, she was easily, and the media, even the ones who haven't been warming up to her that much lately, were all just falling into line the second it was done last night.
You know, Scott, I was looking at some stats after last night's debate, and Hillary Clinton spent the most minutes speaking, Bernie Sanders spent the second most minutes sleeping, and Lincoln Chafee actually put more people to sleep than Bill Cosby.
I think that's not entirely accurate, since I was there for the entire 2.5 hours, and I would wager to say that I spent the most time sleeping. You know, I think that Stephen is right. I mean, the only thing that Hillary's opponents had a chance of doing was in calling her out for who she is. And under some sort of high-minded idea that if you bring job performance issues to the public's attention, somehow that's dirty politics. This is not some, side affair that she's having, that it would be inappropriate for some reason because it's her private life. This is her job performance when it comes to this whole email thing. This has to do with the integrity of the office. This has to do with how she will conduct herself in the presidency. This is totally fair game. And the closest anybody came to laying a glove on her last night was when Lincoln Chafee, who looks like somebody's great-great aunt, was saying, well, I served in office for many years and I never had an ethical scandal. And that's as nasty as it got last night. All Bernie Sanders had to do was take that same phrase and say, you know what? America is sick of hearing about your damned emails, and they're also sick of the fact that you're one of those wealthy people that's keeping the little guy down. I mean, he could have at least taken his main theme and turned it on her.
All right, I want to play devil's advocate and fight with you a little bit here, because all of the pundits on TV said that this effectively ended Joe Biden's bid to be president if he was thinking about jumping in the race. I think the opposite. I think it makes Joe Biden stronger, because none of these Democrats can beat Hillary Clinton. Last night, Bernie Sanders essentially gave up any chance he had at all of picking her off in the primary when he said, let's get rid of those damn emails. You're an honest, trustworthy person. Because when it comes down to ideology, there's not a lot of difference between the two of them. So he would have to beat her on personality. And by saying you're a trustworthy person, he gave that up. I think if the Democrats want someone to beat Hillary Clinton in this primary, they're going to have to recruit someone who wasn't on stage, because none of those people were capable. And the person most likely to do that is Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden's stronger today than he was yesterday. Your thoughts?
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I'm not going to completely disagree with you there. I think the media narrative certainly has been since last night that now it looks bad for Biden. Now it looks bad for Biden. I think the most favorable thing I've read was that if he's going to do it, he needs to do it soon. They talk about, getting in late to a thing, getting in and how difficult it is for a candidate. Well, there's a candidate and then there's the sitting vice president. That's different. This isn't some guy wandering in from the hinterlands hoping to, reconnect with the people in the party. He's there already. He's the second most powerful man in America. It's not like he doesn't have name recognition or the press won't follow him. And as we well know, people in office already can suddenly start to create media opportunities for themselves that aren't really campaign events, but all the press is going to be there too. So I don't think it's an impossible task at all. I think he does need to get in soon if he's going to do it. I don't think it has to be tomorrow. But I think if she keeps polling poorly against Republicans, that then, and the president wants him in. This validates his legacy more than anything else to get his vice president elected president. So they're still pushing for that. So I don't think he's completely out of it. I think the media narrative, though, is that he's out of it because they've decided they've found their another historic first that they want to get elected now.
How about it, Scott? Is Joe Biden still viable?
Absolutely. In fact, about halfway through the debate, I was thinking, oh, man, where's Joe? I seriously thought a real debate between Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden would be quite refreshing, because and only if Biden was willing to name names and to call her on her job performance. I mean, this woman has a list of accomplishments so thin she can shave her legs with it. And some reason, nobody is willing to before the debate, Wolf Blitzer was going, you know what, they better be careful about attacking Hillary because she's still pretty popular within the Democratic Party. Martin O'Malley is an asterisk in the polls. What's he going to hurt if he actually begins to call her what she is? And in fact, he made this really grandiloquent speech at the end where he talked about how we're not like the Republicans. We're not attacking each other. Well, what we've done is we've accepted the Debbie Wasserman Schultz compact that nobody shall touch Hillary. She is the anointed one.
You go back to the '68 convention for the Democrats. They literally spilled blood over the Vietnamese War. There were no major policy disagreements between any of those candidates on the stage last night. They didn't argue about trade. They didn't argue about immigration. They didn't argue about crime. They didn't argue about war and peace. It was just a tactical argument. It's who's better to take on the Republicans.
In my lifetime, we've pretty much seen a flipping of the script, because it used to be the Democrats you could count on to battle each other to the death in a primary, and the Republicans would kind of go, well, here's the one we've been waiting for, and that's the next one, and mosey. And now it's the opposite. The Republicans are the ones that are fighting each other to the death. And this thing last night, I was stunned. I was very glad I watched it because it was stunning to me how bad Webb, O'Malley, and Chafee look on stage. I mean, kudos to Debbie Wasserman Schultz for greenlighting 3 candidates who make Hillary look animated and warm, okay? And the only candidate who's warmer and more engaging than she is on the stage is older and whiter. So now she looks like younger and fresher. So the optics of this were so horrid with these crypt keepers up there. And Jim Webb, and Scott said he thought O'Malley did fine. My first tweet of the night was maybe Martin O'Malley should have laid off combining weed and Xanax before going on television because he was just awful like this, and he thought that all he had to do was mention green energy at the end of everything. Clean energy. If he just snuck that in at the end, he'd be fine. There is no way that these guys remain viable, which makes it all the better for Biden now because Sanders has counted himself out and these other guys are going. Right. So when you said a debate between Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden would be good, or one of you said, it could happen very soon.
Well, it's funny because on my social media feed, a lot of the liberals that I was reading when I was reading their take on it, they said, well, this debate, unlike the Republicans, it was all about substance. And, you know, Scott, when I think back at what happened at that debate, Hillary Clinton declared Republicans to be her enemy. Lincoln Chafee said he voted the wrong way on a bill because he was distraught that his father died. Bernie Sanders took on capitalism, and Jim Webb talked about killing a man in Nam.
Actually, Jim Webb's statement was, I thought, the only sensible moment of the debate, because they're going down the line and they're saying, you know, Franklin Roosevelt said that I have kind of defined myself by who my enemies are. Who are the enemies that you're most proud of? And they're going down the line. They're saying, oh, it's the NRA, it's big business, Wall Street, it's big pharma and stuff like that. Jim Webb, a Marine, is the only guy who actually knows what an enemy looks like. He said, my enemy, I think, was the guy who was throwing a grenade at me in Vietnam, but he's not around to talk to anymore. And then he kind of laughs like, I shot the SOB. So at least he's got a little sensible, and the liberals are attacking him today or the day after the debate because he actually sounded sensible on foreign policy, and therefore they said he must be a Republican in the closet.
There was a question last night about the Black Lives Matter movement. The question was, Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter? Hillary dodged it, and Anderson Cooper let her get away from it. But when Martin O'Malley took the question, and when Bernie Sanders took the question, they said Black Lives Matter. That plays in a Democratic primary when 50% of the voters are non-white. In a general election, if Hillary Clinton goes up there and says Black Lives Matter and she can't bring herself to say all lives matter, that's got to be an Achilles heel.
Well, especially, you know, last night it was CNN essentially told them to answer Black Lives Matter too, because they kicked it to Don Lemon, who then kicked it to the user question. So they kicked it to the black reporter, who kicked it to the black guy, and Lemon prefaced it by saying, now we're moving on to a topic that's tripped up several of our candidates with the whole don't trip up again, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we're not helping here at all, are we? And then right away, oh, no, Black Lives Matter, I don't want that again. Bernie, right away, you could see he didn't want that woman in his face again, right? Oh, it's all Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, wealth inequality, green energy. That was it. So, yeah, it's going to hurt her. It was the most ridiculously pandering moment I've seen from a press corps that panders all the time. Just the way they set up the question, the way they kind of force them into it. And if they force Hillary into that, into the general, then, you know, go ahead, run on, the cops can die, and, you know, we hate your guns. Let's see how far that gets you.
Scott, Bill Clinton was in Las Vegas watching the debate. He wasn't in attendance, but he was watching it, I guess, in a hotel room. What do you think his honest assessment of last night's debate was?
I think this was Hillary Clinton's finest moment of the 2016 campaign. And I think he'll tell her that. I don't think that she has done this well. This is the first time that I've seen her speak during this campaign where she didn't sound like a nagging harpy with every sentence that she said. She actually came across as fairly sane, and maybe that is, as Stephen suggested, because they surrounded her in that bouquet of lunacy. And so this little, you know, tea rose actually looked much more glorious than she was. So I think Bill's got to be happy with her performance last night, especially in contrast to the others, she now looks like the sensible choice. Again, though, that leaves her with the Joe Biden vulnerability, because Joe, as wacky as we may think he is, will come across as much more statesmanlike, and the key element that nobody has so far, he's likable.
Here's something that I think is going to play itself out, maybe not in the Democratic debates because they don't care, but in the general election debates. Remember that first debate between George W. Bush and Al Gore,
yes,
where Al Gore could not control the size, he could not control the eye rolling, he could not control the bratty behavior. I think Hillary's cackle will get on people's nerves to the point to where they just can't take it anymore. I was watching it last night, and I was watching it from the point of view of, we're going to come on the show and talk about it today. I couldn't take the cackle anymore.
No.
It literally made me cringe every time I heard it. If I had to hear that for 8 years, I don't know what I would do.
In a normal world, I'd say yes, too. But that cackle should have been a weekly feature on Saturday Night Live already, and it's not going to be. It's like, they take what the one little thing the Republican does, and then that's all you see in the entertainment media, the late-night talk shows, SNL, everywhere else. This cackle should be being mocked roundly already all over the place. But I don't know. I think the reason that she's so comfortable and didn't cackle as much as she even would have and didn't come off as imperious is because CNN and NBC have been known in the past to stock the audience with whomever they want to stock it with per the orders of the DNC. And it really seemed like they stocked it with Hillary folk last night, because you've seen the sizes of the audiences for Hillary, and then you've seen the sizes of the audiences for Bernie, and that crowd was like, Hillary was like, it was like a laugh track for her last night. So if they can keep doing that, they might be able to keep her more comfortable, less imperious, and the cackling to a minimum.
Cruiser, you get the last word. That's all the time we have for today, but now it's your turn. Who do you want to see win the Democratic nomination and why? Tell us what you think in the comments section below. I'm John Phillips. Thanks so much for watching The Rundown.